Hello and welcome to 360 Gamercast episode 53 for Tuesday the 5th of January 2021. I'm your host Mark Webb, Gamertag Pearson D Steam ID Webby 360G, and joining me on this fine evening is...
Happy New Year everyone, it's Sensei Switch.
Hello again from me, Delatoth.
God, Delatoth 2 days in a row. 2 days.
I know.
It's nuts. So for those of you that didn't know, we did another Patreon special recording yesterday, which was the Cyberpunk 2077 spoilerific blowout episode. It was myself, Delatoff, and Sly Almond, and we had a really good time doing that show yesterday. I had a lot of fun. It was almost 2 hours long, and we could have kept on going, but alas, I had run out of my lunch break and had to go back to work. So yeah, it's the only time we could do it because obviously Sly in Australia, it was a early afternoon show. So I don't know what, we started at 11, finished at 1, I think. So yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, that was busy. So anyway, this week is a normal show, and then next week is Game of the Year, which is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to that completely. So anyway, as always, we'll start the show with the news. This is the news. I've only got 2 bits of news, actually. It's been a bit of a slow news week from what I've seen. Or I just haven't been paying much attention. Probably a bit of both, to be honest. So if there's anything I've missed, feel free to chime in, guys. January, PlayStation Plus has actually been pretty decent. For a change. So if you're on a PS5, you get a free copy of Maneater, which is pretty awesome. And then for the PS4, you get Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Greedfall, which is, by all accounts, a pretty decent RPG. So I think that's pretty cool. Cool. Hogarth said that yesterday's show was longer than it took Sly to finish the game. You're probably right there, mate. he banged it out so quick, it was unbelievable. Crazy. And my last piece of news is that Capcom have announced their new console. It's called the Retro Station. So if you can see it on the screen here, it looks really weird.
What is that?
Yeah, it's the Capcom Retro Station. It's another mini retro console, like the mini NES and SNES and all that. But it has some games on it that you can look forward to. Mega Man 1, 2, X, Super Street Fighter 2, well, pretty much every single Street Fighter. It's going to be $210 US. Rip off. But there we go.
Didn't they release a weird remastered Street Fighter 2 2 years ago?
That's actually really the one on the Switch. That was really good.
Yeah, I think there was one.
Yeah, it was a really good
25th anniversary edition or something.
Yeah, I really like that one. It was good. It was a good It was actually a very good version of Street Fighter, to be honest.
Didn't they add 2 extra characters, like Evil Ryu or something as a character now?
I think so. I can't quite remember.
That was weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when they've done Street Fighter 2 so many times, I've lost count now. Oh. That's actually all my news. Anyone else got any news? I literally cannot think of anything else that's happened this week.
I saw somebody posted on the Discord that Steam has for the first time hit 25 million concurrent users.
Oh my goodness. That's a lot of people, dude.
That's a lot of people.
Well, I think... I don't know if I'm right in this. Probably not. Who knows? I think Steam is now available in China. And also, you know how big China is, how many people they've got there. Yeah. I think that might have something to do with it. All the Chinese users. But yeah, that is a lot. I can hear a cat.
That's my cat.
Hello, cat.
Unfortunately.
Pussycat. See if the cat can hear me through the microphone.
No, but he might be able to hear you.
Hello, kitty. Anyway, any other news?
Yeah, there was one.
Yep.
That I saw today. Today it's been sort of ongoing for about 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
A game that came out on Steam, I think it was about 6 months ago, is hitting this Nintendo Switch in a couple of days' time. called like a cyberpunk ghost story.
Cyberpunk Ghost Story, Ghost Runner, you mean?
No, it's like cyberpunk a ghost story or something. It's like a sort of like a horror point and click pixel art game set in like a cyberpunk universe.
All right.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Cyberpunk,
And it was
Ghost
announced
Story.
for the Switch, and I think like some Nintendo website did like a sort of thing about the game, which brought the developers tons and tons of hate online
Tons of hate. Why loads of hate?
because boobs.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh.
and Puritans. So basically, they got assaulted with like hate mail, emails, death threats, the usual kind of
Okay.
stuff. They posted a statement, I think it was a day or so afterwards, to sort of say that they're not going to censor the game for a small vocal minority of idiots on social media, basically, in some clever worded sort
Okay.
of statement they sort of put out.
Yeah.
And then I think a bit later on they posted like 5 things on their Twitter account. So it's made by like Top Hat Studios. And they
Okay.
posted like loads of screen caps of all the abuse and stuff they've been getting.
Oh.
And strangely enough, none of the gaming sites covered that
Oh.
because it doesn't fit their agenda.
I hate these agendas. I hate them. But there we go.
It's so pathetic. Like, you can guarantee if it was anything else, they'd be the first people to cover something like this.
Yeah.
And basically sort of speak out about it and all the rest of it. But because it doesn't fit in with their sort of mindset or their sort of like activism disguised as game journalism, they couldn't be bothered to obviously report on it or anything. So,
I mean, the art style looks actually quite cool. I think, Darren. It looks like an interesting game. Obviously, the girls have got giant boobs, but who doesn't like boobies? Come on. I mean,
yeah, like
it's set in like cyberpunk where people sort of like augment their bodies and stuff. And as far as I know, there's no nudity and stuff in the game.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, is it just some of the characters are busty? Because like, there's a point where they're wearing like a
busty now at all because busty women don't exist.
Because there's a point
in real life
in this trailer where like it goes like an alternate costume, I guess, where it looks like a Chinese like style like dress, and it's the same character. It doesn't look anywhere near as like top heavy as the default costume looks. So like, which is like, if that's just the crux of their issue is like that the default costume accentuates the breasts a bit too much. That's a bit.
Yeah, it is a bit odd. I mean, I'm just looking on Steam. Actually, it's £11.61 on Steam, and it's got it's very positive reviews. 152 reviews on there. Very positive is the overall score. And the top review says, I bought this game to reward Top Hat Studios for giving a big middle finger to the SJW Council mob on Twitter, who are trying to get the game censored. I wish more publishers and devs would do that instead of constantly bending the knee to them. Having played it, I'm really enjoying it so far. And it's actually, apparently, a lot of people are... I'm just scanning the reviews, and a lot of people are saying, so I'm just going to read one very brief part of another one. I never would have even given this game a second look if it hadn't been for all the hullabaloo in the media about it. In short, the developers were attacked by the usual suspects on Twitter. So naturally, I bought the game, didn't even care if I was going to like it. I just need more developers who are willing to stand up, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's a long review, but at the end of it, he just says, I really love this game. It's great.
Yeah, you had like the sort of like a ton of posts bitching and moaning and complaining and sort of basically sort of like, oh, who is it that allowed you to publish this on Nintendo? We'll get hold of Nintendo and make sure you never publish on their platform again. And
Nintendo.
This is why
Nintendo put out
weird, man.
Well, Nintendo put out worse games.
Oh yeah,
you know.
I mean, there's technically sort of dodgy language in some of the stuff that's been said anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
like after stuff that's sort of like that they've obviously had in complaints, and then people saying like, "Oh, we're going to try and keep people like games developers like you out of the industry," and all this sort of stuff.
Oh, it's ridiculous, but because it's censoring all the Japanese devs,
absolutely
mainly.
pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Western developer that's done it.
Yeah,
but they've obviously gone for a certain type of art aesthetic, and it's a certain type of art aesthetic that people don't like, because, as you know, there's plenty of games out there by Western developers with actual full nudity and sex scenes in that are apparently perfectly fine. It's also perfectly fine to apparently cut someone's face in half and like rip their guts out and stuff. But heaven forbid someone's got anything more than a B cup in a game. Someone even is even, like I said, saw in some of the replies, is asking like some of the bigger YouTubers to sort of cover this.
Yeah.
Who usually cover stuff about devs getting death threats and stuff. Because there's quite a few times when people say they've received death threats, but they don't ever give evidence that they've actually received them. But yet there's like pages and pages and pages of this.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strange one, because what I was going to say, Darren, is obviously as people that have really enjoyed Japanese-made games since day dot, we know kind of the kind of style and aesthetic that they go for, and the kind of storylines that they go for. I've been playing a lot of Yakuza Like a Dragon the past week or so, and that's very traditional in a sort of way, which I will discuss later. And it's weird, because you would usually find all those games in the past on the Sony platforms, never on Xbox or Nintendo. And it seems now, obviously, Sony have now moved their headquarters from Japan to the USA, and they've now gone. Now they're in the USA. They've gone to that very left-leaning politics, and what that entails is a lot of censoring of certain content. So what you're finding now, if you want to experience these style of games, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying those sort of games, you're having to mainly go to Nintendo, because they still publish those games because they're a Japanese company, and those games, sort of games, are ingrained in their culture. But what I'm seeing now is that Microsoft are now looking to also start to put these games on their platform as well. They're going to try and take away a lot of that market, and I think it's going to backfire on Sony, to be honest.
Maybe. Well, like, America's always been pretty Puritan, regardless of like left or right in a lot of aspects. So I wonder how much of it is also just like Japanese being quite insular with their market share. And there's sort of going to be a culture shock there as well, right? So there's other layers than just, I think, left-wing politics, even though like it is a Twitter mob. It's like, sometimes there is just a Twitter mob, and so I'm not going to pretend that Twitter doesn't lean left, right? Like,
I don't even think it's like an actual sort of political thing of whether you lean left or right. There's like tons of hypocrisy wherever you look. Generally, like 9 times out of 10 when it comes to certain things. And I don't know, there's a ton of like activists out there trying to change things that don't need to be changed. Like I've said many times before on here, it's like there's a ton of shit out there I don't like. I just don't partake in it or purchase it or watch it. I don't want it gone or censored or fucked off. And that's the complete difference. These people just like, I don't like this, so I don't want it to exist.
Yeah, those people are definitely out
there.
Sort of
thing. So we need more and more developers to actually speak out. 'Cause this is, I think, the second developer within about 2 or 3 weeks to have basically said, you want this censored, we're not going to censor it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's just media in general just seems there's always a backlash in media in general. It just makes me think that people have nothing fucking better to do with their lives. There's more important things out there to worry about.
Everyone's got a phone in the pocket connected to everyone else's phone, right?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I remember because I'm not as old as Darren, but I remember before social media and all that, I didn't, you'd never know anyone's political persuasion. You'd never know a lot of people's opinions on a lot of things, right? And now it's like everyone just puts everything out there on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, and it's made the world a very strange place. I think like my kids are going to grow up with it, so it's going to be interesting to see what they're like when they're like my age. Will probably be completely fraggled, having to see psychiatrists and all sorts. Who knows?
And then you've got to deal with this social media world problem.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Like it's a weird social media.
It's strange that there's a group of people out there that just want to try and sort of, in a sense, politicise absolutely fucking everything.
Yeah.
When they don't realise that gaming, music, films, television, it's all forms of escapism to get away from all of that shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if people want everything to be politicised all day, live on Twitter and be a miserable bastard then.
That's it.
I spend less and less time on Twitter every week because it's just a cesspool of shit.
I don't blame you, mate.
Day.
Oh yeah, I don't blame you for that. It's one of the reasons I stopped using Facebook years ago. It's like all of it just sort of devolves. It's like, is Facebook sort of like opening up, and it's like, okay, well, I've got my group of friends, and now I'm starting to see posts from my friends, aunties, friends, and then it starts bringing up like, here's your timeline of all of this random stuff your friends, aunties, like cousin has posted 7 years ago. It's like, I don't care.
It's supposed to be like, social media is supposed to be for discourse. But there is no discourse. It's just wholesome abuse, block people.
Yeah, yeah, and then the problem is people get into, especially I think it's mainly Twitter. People get into bubbles where they only see stuff that they agree with, so then they start to think that the whole world thinks their way when they're actually in the tiny minority of people around the world. But it's just their worldview is just very skewed and not seeing both sides of the conversation. But getting back to gaming, it's strange, right? Because I remember back in the day, you look at game reviews, in your magazines, and then obviously the internet came about, and you look at reviews online by the so-called professional reviewers. As before all the YouTubers kind of took over the world. Game reviews were reviewing the games, right? It was just very objective, this is what I liked or whatever, this is the good shit, this is the bad shit. But what you see from a lot of publications now, especially with the likes of Polygon, it's all just their political, they're trying to shove all their politics into all their game reviews, and a lot of other sites are doing the same thing, and I think it's just ruining gaming in a weird way, because
it ruins all facets of entertainment. To be honest, when you just sort of stick to your bubbles and stuff like that. I mean, on obviously another subject, we had obviously a certain sort of TV show or streaming series the other week, basically sort of give everyone a little bit of what they wanted.
We're talking about Star Trek or something else.
Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars.
Mandalorian, obviously.
I really like the Mandalorian, man.
It's
fucking awesome.
It's probably it is good. It is definitely good. But they obviously did something quite fan servicey the other day.
Yes.
And the fans really liked it.
Yeah.
And then some of the people in the media kind of didn't.
Yeah, I don't get that.
To a degree.
Well, everyone's got an opinion.
Weird.
All I've seen from a lot of the media is people who work there fanboying over the last episode. I haven't seen too much in the way of backlash outside of, why don't we know how they did it yet?
Yeah,
I mean they're becoming sort of like they're improving all the time to obviously rectify some of the mistakes they might have made with their sort of films recently that kind of didn't cater to the old guard who sort of grew
Yeah.
up with those films and sort of like grew up with those characters and everything. So maybe we're now starting to see more companies actually listening to their actual customers instead of like these lunatics on social media.
Yeah.
Because all the people that were screeching about that game, they're not going to buy it anyway.
No.
They just want to screech the house down and stop them being able to sell it to anyone that does actually want to buy it.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they've probably drawn more light to the game, and that game now is probably going to sell more copies than it would have otherwise.
Yeah, it has the opposite effect because, any press is good press, right? Bad press is still good press because it's getting your name out there, and if people hear about a game and it's like, oh yeah, it's really bad, it has this and that, it's going to entice a lot of people to buy it to see what the hell the hype's all about. So.
I mean, you only have to look at Rock and Roll Stars back in the day, like, oh, you trashed the hotel room, oh, good, we'll sell a bunch more albums for that. Like, it's bad that you did that, but now your name's out in the press and you got a bit of a rep.
That's why we're millionaires, right? Like, we can sell our own hotel room.
Cool. All right, any other news?
No, that was pretty much like one of the bigger sort of things. Everyone's still sort of recovering from the Christmas stuff.
But before we move on to games, I just want to say the 1st of January, the new season of Cobra Kai came out on Netflix. And I don't know if you guys have watched it or anything. Been into Cobra Kai at all. Well, the missus and I binged the whole season in 2 evenings. It's so fucking good.
Tradition.
It's so good. That's all I'm going to say. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil it.
I've heard. I haven't watched it myself, but I know everyone who's watched it says it's good, and it fully respects all of the characters from the original film.
Yes, yeah, it does a really good job.
Use those characters, shit all over them to prop up.
No, it doesn't.
Like paper thin characters that they're adding to the story.
Well, they bring all the old actors back. Which is really, really cool.
I saw they'd even brought back the old, the dojo owner from the first 2 films.
Yeah.
Is it Kreese?
Yeah.
That is like a weirdly niche, like, role to reprise. In the grand scheme of things.
Well, it's actually done very well, to be honest. So I don't want to say anything to people because I don't want to spoil it for people, but it's really weird because it's like, I really enjoyed the Karate Kid films, back in the day, but didn't really give them a second thought, if you know what I mean. Just like, yeah, they were good films. And then started watching the first season, and it is done so fucking good. It's so addictive to watch. It's very cheesy, just like the films were as well, but it's just so good. I highly recommend it. So that's all I'm going to say on that.
I might give it a second look then, because
it's good.
It's good. Before my time was the old Karate Kid. So.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Well, you should download the films and watch them because there's a lot of references, but they do flashbacks as well if you can't be fucked to do that.
No, I
apparently doesn't this new series deal with quite a lot of stuff in Karate Kid 2?
I'm not saying anything, not spoiling it. La 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 la. Yeah, and obviously since
I think he was the fan and he stunted.
Yeah. And obviously since I finished Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I started watching Vikings with the missus, and we've binged the first 2 seasons of that, and we're now on to the second episode of season 3. So, and that's a really good show. That's another bingeable show.
Travis Fimmel is like so good in that.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's on Amazon Prime, so you need to have that to watch it. But yeah, we're absolutely loving that show. So that's something else. Apparently, there's a new season out. And
I think it started a little while ago. It's the final season, isn't it?
And unfortunately, I've seen some spoilers of what happens to some of the characters. 2 or 3 seasons further on than what I'm on, so it's a bit annoying. But that's the way it is. And then after we've finished Vikings, we're going to check out The Last Kingdom on Netflix because that's very similar as well.
That's another good one as well.
yeah. Hogarth was just put in the chat that's better than Vikings, but you have to get the Webby review on that in probably a few months' time. We'll see. Yeah. Anyway, should we get into what we've been playing?
Yes.
Who wants to go first?
Why don't you go first for once? That'd be...
Me? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Makes
you usually go last, don't you?
Yeah. Well, it's usually save the best for last, isn't it? But I'll go first. That's fine. Even though I haven't loaded up my games onto YouTube because I normally do that last. But to listen to the rest of this week's show, please visit patreon.com/360gamercast. There you will get a podcast episode every single week of the year with its own RSS feed, which you can add into any podcast application that you use to listen to this show. Unfortunately, it does not work with Spotify, but it works with everything else. You get a podcast episode every single week of the year, and like everyone else who gets a free full episode every fortnight. As well as the extra shows that you get, you also get every single special recording, including the latest show that we recorded just a few days ago, which was the Cyberpunk 2077 Spoilerific Blowout Special. To listen to this, all you have to do is subscribe to patreon.com/360gamercast. Don't be tight, £5 a month is nothing. Subscribe now. Your pal, Webby. Thank you.